Siracusa, who is a security and diplomacy professor at Curtin University. He joins us live now from Melbourne. Good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you, and good afternoon.
So logically, when you look at the situation at the Zaporizhzhia plant, you can understand why Russia in this war would want to take control of it, why they would want to divert power, if they could, down to the regions that they're trying to take over. But why would Russia want to take on this risk of a potential nuclear meltdown?
Well, they'd like to avoid it as much as possible. I mean, what could go wrong here? You know, the plant is in the middle of a war zone.
Right.
The Russians have captured it. The Ukrainians are running it. We get all kinds of narratives about what's going on. But let me tell you, Michelle, what President Putin cannot control. If there is a radiation leak there, that is, if there's a 10-mile-high radiation leak, and he can't control the wind, and that plant is only about 125 miles from Crimea, and it could easily hit Russia, too, as a matter of fact. It can't control the weather, so it can go in any direction. And so it's in everyone's interest to demilitarize the plant or the area around it. The trouble is that, you know, Russia started this war, and the Ukrainians are not going to back down, so that place is going to remain in the middle of things. And look, in my lifetime, I've seen 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, Fukushima. These things have billions of dollars of economic consequences. They've killed hundreds and thousands of people. And of course, the panic alone would probably kill tens of thousands of people. You know, this is a disaster waiting to happen. And of course, it only takes 90 minutes or 2 hours for those coolants to warm up. Only three things you can do there. Go ahead.
Joe, if Russia's actions did cause a nuclear crisis there, where a cloud of radiation was threatening millions of people in that region and beyond, what would the responses be to it? What do you think the West would do to retaliate or to stop it or to punish Russia for that?
Well, there wouldn't be any chance of punishing Russia because the damage would have been done. What we'd have to do is we'd have to kind of reinvigorate here the United Nations and the IAEA and the rest of it. I mean, this is a multilateral problem. And keep in mind, you know, if there's a radiation leak there, there's area around there. It's going to become no man's land for the next 200 years. I mean, it's uninhabitable, as a matter of fact. So there's very little they can do to Russia. And Russia, of course, would have to wear this for a long, long time. And the thing is that everybody is going to have to cool it here. You know, Russians have to take in consideration the wind, and Zelensky has to take in consideration that he has an obligation here. I mean, they both have to do something they don't want to do, Michelle, and they're going to have to come to an agreement. These guys don't like each other. They don't want to help each other. But, you know, there is a good reason why the doomsday clock at the atomic scientists is 100 seconds to midnight. And it's exactly this situation.
I think that's why this is so confusing, that because the risks are so great, what we just discussed, and then the aftermath of that, I mean, how Russia would then be viewed as if it's not at a low right now. Why would Russia be conducting these operations so close to the plant? The shelling, the cutting off of power, all of it. Why do you think Vladimir Putin is willing to take that on?
Well, I think when Putin realizes his military incursion wasn't going to have a quick victory, I think he's decided to punish Ukraine as much as possible. Michelle, I think he's trying to wreck the place before he leaves certain parts of it. He's going to get the Donetsk and the Crimea and all the rest of it, but the rest of it is going to be uninhabitable for a long time. And so he's trying to punish them. And what could be more punishing than this? But I think the international community is going to have to sit down and decide, you know, can they wear this? I mean, the European Union is going to have to grow some legs here and decide whether to hit back or not before it gets too late, because this is going to be a European problem. You know, maybe this is something where the great powers could all get involved, because Russia does not have permission to destroy half of Europe on its way to punishing Ukraine for not doing what it wanted to do. And the Ukrainians are going to have to come to some kind of arrangement with the Russians. This is a perfect opportunity for diplomacy to kick in, and maybe could be the beginning of a ceasefire for the end of the war. But this common danger should alert anybody who can see what's going on that it isn't a matter of when this or if this happens, it's when it happens, because it only takes about an hour and a half to get those cooling systems down and the radiation up and into the air. And it's very, very dangerous. And you're right. You know, I think the capacity here for stupidity is endless. And at some point, someone's going to say, "Gee, couldn't they have seen this coming?" Well, you can see it. I can see it. Your viewers can see it.
For sure.
Everybody sees this coming. And so this is the gray rhino that we've been looking at for 6 months. And now we have to decide whether we want to do something about it.
All right, Joe. Good discussion. Thanks so much for your insights.